What if the biggest royal love story of the modern era was never a fairy tale at all, but a carefully managed operation that is now collapsing under the weight of its own secrets? The whispers that used to live in obscure forums and late-night gossip threads have exploded into mainstream conversation, and suddenly the walls around Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are starting to crack in public. The silence is gone. The protection is fading. And now every missing detail, every strange timeline, every carefully edited appearance is being examined like evidence in a scandal nobody can stop watching. When Jeff Banks sat down and openly questioned the official narrative surrounding the Sussex empire, it felt less like celebrity gossip and more like the first domino finally tipping over. Because these weren't harmless rumors anymore. These were allegations about engineered introductions, mysterious disappearances from public life, questions about children the world barely sees, and whispers that powerful people may have spent years protecting a story that was never completely true. For years, the meeting between Harry and Meghan was sold as destiny, a blind date, two souls colliding by chance. But critics now claim that story sounds less believable the more people dig into the Soho House connections surrounding Meghan's rise into elite circles. Suddenly, the name Marcus Anderson keeps appearing like a shadow in every chapter of this story. The man with access, the fixer, the connector, the gatekeeper to celebrity royalty and actual royalty. And according to growing speculation, Meghan didn't stumble into Prince Harry's orbit accidentally. The suggestion now being whispered louder than ever is that the romance was orchestrated with precision, a carefully engineered social climb disguised as spontaneous love. And once you start looking at the timeline through that lens, everything begins to feel different. Every appearance, every interview, every polished moment. Was this really romance or strategy disguised as romance? But then the story became even darker because the questions didn't stop at how Meghan entered royal life. They moved toward who Meghan really was before the palace gates opened. And this is where the internet exploded all over again. Suddenly, old photographs from the Mediterranean resurfaced, yacht images, exclusive parties, elite networking circles. The phrase yacht girl began circulating again in connection with Meghan's pre-royal years, triggering outrage, fascination, and non-stop speculation. Critics claimed there was an entire hidden chapter of her life that had never been fully explained publicly. A chapter involving wealthy circles, luxury travel, and influential social contacts that allegedly helped place her directly into the orbit of powerful men and institutions. Investigative personalities online insisted they had receipts. They claimed the official Meghan biography was incomplete by design. And now, as mainstream commentators slowly begin touching these once taboo topics, the public feels like they're watching forbidden information escape containment in real time. Then came the age controversy, one of the strangest and most explosive rabbit holes in this entire saga. For decades, the public accepted Meghan's official birth year without question. But suddenly, speculation erupted claiming there may be inconsistencies in her timeline that suggest she could actually be years older than reported. And the reason this rumor spread so aggressively is because it touches something much deeper than vanity. If the timeline changes, critics argue, then the narrative around her acting struggles, her relationships, and even her pregnancies shifts dramatically too. Social media turned into a battlefield overnight. Some people mocked the theory as ridiculous, while others treated it like the missing piece of a giant puzzle. And the most shocking part? Even members of Meghan's own family became part of the conversation. Samantha Markle unexpectedly defended her against the age rumors, pointing to family memories and school records that contradicted the speculation entirely. But instead of ending the conspiracy, it somehow made the public even more obsessed. Because now, people weren't just arguing over facts, they were arguing over who was controlling the truth itself. And then came the topic that changed everything. The children. Archie Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor became the center of one of the most controversial royal conversations in modern history. Because, unlike previous royal children, the Sussex children were almost invisible. No regular appearances, no familiar royal traditions, no clear public access, just carefully controlled images, blurry photos, and strategically distant glimpses that only intensified suspicion online. Royal watchers started comparing the situation to a disappearing act. Questions about birth certificates, hospital details, delivery timelines, and missing medical signatures spread everywhere. And once those rumors touched mainstream discussion, the entire situation escalated beyond gossip into obsession. People started revisiting every official statement released around Archie and Lilibet's births. Every inconsistency became a clue. Every vague explanation became suspicious. Critics openly wondered whether the secrecy was designed to protect privacy or protect something much bigger. The panic surrounding their financial future has become impossible to ignore. You can almost feel the desperation in the non-stop rebrands, sudden lifestyle pivots, and aggressive attempts to stay culturally relevant. 1 minute, it's documentaries, then podcasts, then inspirational speaking, then lifestyle launches, then emotional interviews again. It feels chaotic, like a machine throwing sparks because something underneath is overheating. And according to growing speculation, the pressure inside the household may be becoming unbearable, because when celebrity money slows down, relationships often start cracking under the weight of reality. Royal life once gave Harry structure, purpose, military identity, and institutional protection. But California fame is brutal. You are only valuable as long as people are interested in you. And critics believe Harry may finally be realizing that fame without the monarchy attached to it is a far weaker currency than he imagined. That's why every solo appearance from Harry feels loaded with hidden meaning now. Every unexpected trip, every sudden international visit, every moment where he appears relaxed away from Meghan instantly fuels speculation that he's emotionally drifting away from the Montecito project itself. Observers claim he looks freer when he's alone, more authentic, less managed, almost like a man reconnecting with the identity he abandoned years ago. But then he returns to California and the performance resumes. The polished appearances, the forced branding, the carefully curated family image. Critics are openly asking whether Harry is still fully committed to the life he sacrificed everything for, because the contrast between Royal Harry and California Harry is becoming impossible to ignore. One looked natural, the other increasingly looks exhausted. And while Harry battles public perception overseas, the monarchy he left behind continues moving forward with chilling efficiency. King Charles III has reportedly embraced what insiders call the gray suit strategy. Stay silent, stay calm, let the noise burn itself out naturally. And somehow that strategy is working perfectly, because while Harry and Meghan constantly explain themselves, the royal family simply continues performing duties, smiling for cameras, attending ceremonies, and reinforcing stability. No screaming matches, no public warfare, just quiet endurance. It creates a devastating contrast. One side looks emotionally chaotic while the other side looks disciplined and timeless. And the public is noticing, especially as the popularity of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues to recover and strengthen after years of Sussex drama dominating headlines. Then came the emotional stories surrounding Queen Elizabeth II that made the contrast between generations feel even more brutal. Royal commentators revealed deeply personal moments showing the Queen's quiet kindness behind closed doors. Not staged kindness, not public relations kindness, genuine private gestures done without cameras present. One story about the Queen personally arranging accommodations for someone connected to her funeral coverage suddenly went viral because it reminded people of something the Sussexes seem unable to replicate naturally: authentic dignity. The Queen didn't need podcasts or interviews to convince people she cared. She demonstrated it through decades of consistent behavior. And now many royal watchers compare that legacy directly against Harry and Meghan's endless attempts to explain themselves publicly. The comparison is devastating because one legacy feels permanent while the other increasingly feels performative. Meanwhile, rumors surrounding the so-called invisible children continue growing darker online because every new attempt at privacy somehow creates another explosion of questions. Why are public appearances so rare? Why does every released photograph feel heavily controlled? Why does the public know so little about children who technically remain connected to one of the most famous royal bloodlines on Earth? Critics argue the secrecy has created a psychological vacuum that conspiracy theories rush to fill instantly. And now people are dissecting every official detail surrounding Archie and Lilibet like investigators examining evidence at a crime scene. Some believe the Sussexes are simply protecting their children from toxic media culture. Others insist the secrecy itself proves there's something deeper being hidden. Either way, the result is the same: the mystery keeps growing larger instead of fading away. At the same time, whispers about Meghan's Mediterranean years refuse to disappear. The yacht rumors, the elite social networking circles, the Soho House relationships. Every time the story seems ready to fade, another commentator revives it again with new claims about powerful connections and carefully managed introductions. The reason these allegations have become so dangerous isn't necessarily because people fully believe them. It's because trust around the Sussex narrative has eroded so badly that audiences are now willing to question almost anything. And once public trust breaks, every unexplained detail becomes suspicious automatically. That is the real crisis surrounding the Sussex brand right now. Not just criticism, distrust. Because distrust spreads like poison through celebrity culture. Once people stop believing your version of events, they begin constructing their own. Then there's the growing belief that Buckingham Palace itself may have quietly protected Harry and Meghan during the early years just to avoid institutional chaos. Some commentators now claim palace officials allegedly helped smooth over inconsistencies and avoided challenging questionable narratives publicly because maintaining peace mattered more than exposing uncomfortable truths. But if that protection really existed, critics believe it may finally be ending. Palace frustration reportedly intensified after repeated public attacks from California, combined with Harry's sudden surprise visits that seemed to clash awkwardly with royal schedules. To some insiders, those visits allegedly looked less like reconciliation attempts and more like pressure tactics. A reminder that Harry could still disrupt royal operations whenever he wanted, but the monarchy appears determined to outlast the chaos through patience alone, and historically that strategy tends to work. Now the conversation surrounding Harry has become deeply tragic because underneath all the scandal, speculation, and public warfare, people increasingly see a man caught between identities. He was born into the center of history, raised inside palaces, trained for royal duty, protected by tradition, and emotionally tied to an institution that shaped his entire existence. But now he's living in celebrity exile thousands of miles away, trying to build relevance through media deals while watching the family he abandoned continue without him. Every viral image of William, every successful royal appearance, every celebration involving the new Fab Four reportedly serves as another painful reminder that the monarchy adapted surprisingly well to his absence. And for Harry, that realization may be unbearable, because the one thing more painful than leaving your family is realizing the family survived perfectly fine without you. And this is where the entire Sussex story begins feeling less like a fairy tale and more like a slow-motion unraveling happening in front of the entire world. The engineered romance allegations, the age controversies, the invisible children mystery, the financial pressure, the palace silence, the emotional distance, the rebranding exhaustion. Every piece now feels connected inside one massive public identity crisis. Critics believe Harry and Meghan spent years trying to build a rival royal court in America, but instead created a celebrity brand trapped between privacy and publicity, royalty and Hollywood, victimhood and influence. Because you cannot demand total privacy while constantly monetizing personal exposure. Eventually, the contradictions become too visible to hide. And now the public is staring directly at those contradictions in real time. The most chilling part? This saga still feels unfinished. The receipts keep surfacing. Former supporters are changing sides. Media figures who once defended Meghan aggressively are suddenly becoming cautious with their words. Financial questions continue mounting, and every public appearance now gets analyzed like a forensic investigation. The monarchy is betting on silence and endurance, while the Sussexes continue battling for relevance inside a media ecosystem that devours celebrities the second audiences grow tired of them. And somewhere inside all this chaos stands Harry himself, seemingly searching for purpose while watching his old world move on without him. The tragedy is that he may have sacrificed everything for freedom, only to discover that freedom without belonging can feel emptier than captivity itself. And as the world keeps watching this royal drama spiral into stranger territory, one terrifying question hangs over the entire story like smoke that refuses to clear. When there are finally no more secrets left to reveal, what exactly will remain of the Sussex empire at all?